You're in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
That's Bigfoot country.
That is.
I can't look into the darkness with you anymore, Mulder. I cannot stand what it does to you or to me.
It's probably the first time where you see like leftists and conservatives coming together to demand accountability from the government.
Welcome to Sasquatch Talk. My name's Bradley Valentine. We are three dudes here talking about Sasquatch conspiracies, guns, and more. We have me, Bradley, Dan. How's it going?
Good.
Good. Troy, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Doing great. All right, today we're going to talk about a couple different things. A little bit of Lemurian history. We talked about this in episode 1. Maybe a little bit of alternate history, but I have a quick jumping off point for us boys, and they don't know this question. So I'll start with you, Troy. Let's say you were given a wish from a genie, and this genie says, you can know everything about one of these subjects. You have to pick one. You'll know whether they're real, what really happened. Would you pick Atlantis, JFK, or Sasquatch? This genie gives you this knowledge. You'll know everything about it. For example, who killed JFK? Why? Was it nothing? Was it just Oswald? Or was there Atlantis? Where was it? Who were these people like? Does Sasquatch exist? Does he not exist? So, of those three, which would you pick, Troy?
And
honestly,
only those three?
Only those three.
Okay.
Honestly, JFK.
Okay.
That's been far more intriguing to me than the other two subjects, to tell you the truth. I would love to know everything about the whole JFK assassination and all of that. The motivation behind. I'd love it. Yeah, that's my decision.
What did you think of, like, I think Trump released the JFK files or whatever a couple months ago, and it seemed like a big nothing burger. Did you look at that at all?
I read a little bit, but I actually haven't. You asked me that question, I say that's what I'm more interested in, but I actually haven't read into it that much. Yeah.
Dan, what's your answer?
Oh, it was Sasquatch, JFK,
or Atlantis.
Or Atlantis.
Yeah.
I would probably go Atlantis because I already know that it was the mob and the CIA and FBI for JFK.
Okay, before we get to Atlantis, let's go back to JFK.
Oh boy.
So, okay, let me go back to the question I asked Troy. What did you think of all the files that were released by Trump or Pam Bondi or whoever did it with JFK?
Well, here's what I think. I think that the government spends a lot of time like saving face.
Okay.
Right? They know that, like, if you have a large amount of followers that are like, dude, you said you were going to do this. You said you were going to make transparency and all this kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
So it's really easy to release a bunch of non-peak or pinnacle.
Sure.
What's a good word for that? Like
relevant?
Relevant is one. Well, they were probably supporting documentation, right? Like if you're painting a picture, when you go to frame it, you need the edge, you need something to hang it on, right?
Okay.
And you might not be able to see those things. Like you need a frame, right? The fabric's wrapped around the frame and it builds out all those papers.
Okay, if they were just
that
saving
framework.
face, why didn't Trump do it his first term?
That's an even deeper question to you would have to talk about. Is it a two-party or one-party government? Are they just playing good guys? Are they actually good guys? You know, that's a whole other episode. But I'll say this, I think it's like breadcrumbs, right? Like I'll give you these. There's a lot more information out there that you can help to like thread that stuff through, right? And use that to like highlight different things. A lot of it was inconclusive, and I think that was by design, because you can say, hey, I released the information. That's what we had. That's what I'm allowed to release. I get it that it's inconclusive, but it's better than nothing.
Right. Okay.
Right. Is it the best? The best that's ever been? Probably not.
Troy, what do you think of Dan's
Trump
theory?
Impression.
That's a valid point. If there was nothing to really truly hide, why didn't he just release it in his first one? Or why didn't any other president since then release it? So that kind of brings up the question, like, are they hiding something? They're trying to hide something.
Yeah. All right.
I don't
All
know.
right. Well, let's get to your answer, Dan. Atlantis. Why? Why did you pick them? I know you picked JFK because you already know, but why Atlantis?
Because there's a lot of natural history that I am extremely interested in, and Atlantis points to a much bigger civilization that existed that Lemurians stem from. And I'm very interested in like the pyramids and their origin and how they were built and constructed. I love construction, like how things are built, just all mechanic, like everything that's involved in it. Right?
Yeah.
I love it. And if I was going to be able to know everything that was known, that means you would know all of their construction techniques.
Oh, okay.
You would know their demise, right? Like why they broke down, right? So that could all lead to you to have a better understanding of how to carry out the rest of your life, and then also you'd be able to help people by better means of construction.
All right. Okay. Troy, last question with this topic. What's your interest level on Atlantis?
I've heard of it. I haven't gone nearly as deep into it as Dan has.
You don't really care?
Yeah, it's fascinating. You know, the what they talk about the technology advancements that they have and this and that. But yeah, I could care less, to tell you the truth.
Fair enough. And honestly, I don't care about that, and I don't even really care about JFK. So I'm going Sasquatch. I want to know. Okay, here's the thing. If the answer is there is no Sasquatch, it's kind of a boring revelation to have. However, if there is a Sasquatch, why don't we know more about him? Is there some sort of government cover-up? Like, is it really he's just hidden in the mountains of North America and we can't find him? Like, those are the questions that I have. Atlantis, whatever, JFK, the mob shot him, Oswald shot him, CIA shot him. I don't care.
Already happened. Old news.
Good point. Yeah. All right. Okay. Before we get on to Lemurians, I have another question for you guys. What is one piece of history that we all have and that we accept that you don't think we have the full picture of, or you think we believe the wrong thing on? Does that question make sense?
It does.
Who wants to go first?
You go, Dan.
Dan has like 20. He's like, which one do I pick?
Yeah, I have a list. Right?
Just
but
pick
I'll
one.
This one first. I'll pick one. The Dark Ages.
Okay. Ooh. All right. Tell me more.
There's a timeline issue. There was like a king that wanted to make it seem like he ruled for more years than he really did. It has to do with the Gregorian calendar concept and inception.
Okay.
Yep. And so there's about a 400-year chunk that's either accounted for and everything else is wrong, or a 400-year chunk that's not accounted for and everything in the history books is correct.
Interesting. I have always been interested in like Dark Ages, Middle Ages, just because it's kind of like a nasty time in history to think about. Like, there were really no major technological advances, and we were kind of like stuck down by feudalism. But it's like kind of like crappy to think about.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we got there.
Like how we got to the Middle Ages?
Yeah.
I bet
that's a part that I don't know, right? And I want to get to that.
Wasn't the bubonic plague a big part of that? That kind of plunged Europe into the Dark Ages?
That happened during it.
Yeah, it more happened during it than as a result.
It was at the beginning. It was, but it was towards the beginning of the Dark Ages as a whole.
Yeah.
Right, because there was like they talk about the Enlightenment period, but that's at the end of the Dark Ages. They also talk about the oh man, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name for it. When all the Christians went down to raid to get the Holy City back. Yeah, the Crusades.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that, which technically happened during the Dark Ages, according to some history books.
Yeah.
But a lot of the school curriculum, and even with the kids, it glosses over it. It talks very much about feudalism.
Right.
Right. And like all of these different lords ruling, which is a break apart of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Right. So did the Dark Ages happen right at the end of the fall of the Roman Empire when that fell apart?
Yeah.
Because there's like the Napoleonic Wars, which is after the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Right. Because they have firearms and stuff.
18th century.
Right. So like 1400s, we have people sailing around the world. Right. And like lots of kings and things. So then like a quick Google search might tell us like what years the Dark Ages happened.
Right.
Right. So, but that's one that I think we know about. But when you start to put dates down on paper and write what you know, when these things happened, right? Like the Vikings, like Eric the Red, Leif Erikson, right? And I think that was in like 900. They were sailing to the Americas and trading with Indians, you know? So there's just, as far as public school history class goes, there's not, from what I remember, because we did a deal with the kids, like timelines, like these things happened in a row, you know? And that's like when I was a kid, I hated timelines. I'm like, who cares? But now that I'm older, I'm like, man, why don't people talk more about timelines? It makes like chronological is like the way to go.
Right.
What happened first, you know?
Interesting. I think in another life, if I had like hours to spend, I would read and study the Dark Ages. Like that's definitely something that I would love to get a timeline on. That's a good topic. Troy, have you thought of yours?
It's similar to like Dan. The whole thing is the human development. Like,
Okay.
so, you know, they say since the end of World War II, humans have developed more than from World War II up until today.
Sure.
They've developed more than they have the preceding 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes into the Dark Ages a little bit, and the issues that were occurring during the Dark Ages that may have prevented it. But why couldn't there have been more human development prior to World War II, prior to World War I?
I mean,
You know,
There was, though. That's the thing.
I would say
there was.
technology kind of boomed, and maybe you could consider that computers and transistors, but we developed a little bit, right?
There was, yeah, and don't get me wrong, but the pace was significantly slower
Sure.
than it was since World War II. It's just interesting, you know. It's the same human minds, right? I shouldn't say the same human mind, but it's
World War I to World War II.
well, since World War II, you know, there was a little bit of development from World War I to World War II. There up to World War I. Right?
Yeah.
From the Dark Ages, from prior to the Dark Ages, all of that. There wasn't that much technological development. There wasn't that much political or cultural. They had their culture, don't get me wrong. They had their politics systems, but it was so much more developed. It was faster paced since World War II.
So I think about this a lot. Do you know the time between World War I and II?
I mean, it was 30-ish years, 1917 to
like the Great Depression,
1939.
Yeah, 21 years, right?
Yeah.
And in World War I, we just got planes going.
Yeah.
To fight with, right? 20 years, right? In the last 20 years, automobiles have not changed that much.
Right.
20 years ago, we had heated seats. Today, we have heated seats with computer chips that fail, right? That's in 20 years. But in 20 years then, we went from fighting a war with, canvas-covered airplanes to fighting a war with 4-engine bombers and
Right.
dropping nuclear bombs
Yeah.
in 20 years. That's a huge leap.
So
That's what I'm saying. Since those two wars, it's a huge leap. But everything prior to that, it was small and incremental. How come there weren't huge, larger leaps prior to that?
I think there's been larger leaps. I think I'd like to see like technological leap, right? Timeline, because 1911, the automatic repeating pistol,
right.
Or we'll say semi-automatic for legal reasons. I don't know if we can say automatic.
They're auto-loading.
Auto-loading. Sorry, let me get the correct terminology.
Yeah, there you go.
Auto-loading pistol, right? 1911, but that was made from a design that came out in the late 1800s.
Right. I think I think we're splitting hairs maybe on the timeline. Like there was a massive boost since the 1940s, because when was the transistor made? In the 40s or 50s? In
50s.
In the 20s.
The transistor was not made in the 20s.
All right, I'm doing it.
I'm like 99% sure that the transistor was made in the 40s or the 50s. And I think there was like you're right, Dan, like World War One, there was some technology increases. Between there were some in World War II, even more, but right after that. And this is just my thought, is the transistor. Like right now, we have more technology in like a key fob than we would have in a supercomputer in the 1940s. And that's mostly because of, we have trillions of transistors on a board that fire off different ones and zeros. But before that, like, that's a good point. Sometimes I think about that. Like, what if I went back in time and just like dropped off a computer or something? Like, would they be able to figure it out? What would our world look like?
I don't know
today?
if they would know what to do.
That's assuming they didn't have that technology already.
Which is another thought, which is, okay, so this could go back to Atlantis a little bit. Did they have that and then it kind of got wiped out?
So the theory with Atlantis, and this ties into Lemurians, which is a great segue.
Sure.
So they were all part of Mu, which was a bigger landmass. And Lemurians and Atlanteans were part of a bigger colonization that ended in nuclear disaster. And so then the Lemurians, right? All of the Atlanteans died supposedly, and the Lemurians escaped to Talos or Mount Shasta.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Lemurians. Let's define for people who don't know who are these people. Who wants to jump on that one?
So I'll jump on it.
Okay.
So they and that's what I was saying. Like Lemurians and Atlanteans, according to like weirdly older maps. Where ones that like show California as an island, all kinds of different stuff. Were part of this civilization MU, and their whole civilization ended in a giant nuclear war, which killed lots and lots of people, which some people equate to Tower of Babel time frame.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of haziness there that I'll have to study and get right with the difference between Mu and the Tower of Babel, right? But, during the Tower of Babel, the Bible talks about how all people could understand all languages, right?
Right.
And then God came down and was like, well, they're only self-serving. This isn't going the way that it was supposed to go. Right. Scattered them all across the earth. Right. Well, this Mu legend points back to a time where either all of the landmass was one on earth, and then it split apart. And some legends say nuclear war. But either way, there was a large explosion that either completely erased their landmass or redistributed all of the landmass.
Okay,
So
nuclear war. What, like, I know what that means, but what does it mean in the context of this? Like, did they know how to split the atom?
yeah,
Interesting. Troy?
yeah.
Troy, what do you think? What do you think on this? First of all, Troy, let me ask you this. Just to backtrack a little, how come you guys know about the Lemurians and I never heard about them until we talked about them on episode 1? Why do you think that is, Troy?
Well, big part of it is because the legend is that they live in Shasta, and Shasta is only 70 miles from us. So everyone that
Mount
lives around
Shasta's right there.
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone who lives around Shasta has heard of this, the legend, the rumors, the people, the technology, the city inside the mountain. It's part of the culture in this area.
Are there any, Troy, you're there right now in that general area. Are there any archaeological discoveries that could back up any of these theories?
That I can't say yes or no because I haven't looked into it too much. I will say this about Mount Shasta. So my wife and I just drove by it yesterday. We drove on our way to San Francisco on Saturday and then drove back yesterday.
Okay.
And when you're driving by that mountain, you do get this mysterious vibe to it. This call it magical, if you will. It attracts a wide variety of people, a lot of interest, a lot of different theories and ideas about it. And it is a massive.
So when you look at the visitor log at Mount Shasta, there's a visitor log by the headwaters. There people from all over the world every year come there just to drink the water that comes out of Mount Shasta because they feel that it has magical healing properties. I'm not kidding. This is real.
I believe you.
People believe.
And just hiking around it too, you get that vibe that there's something more there. It's I don't know. It's odd. It's weird.
People say that it puts out an energy that drives you to either do more or to fall into heavy drug use.
Is it okay? Let's say I'm a skeptic listening to us right now, and I'm like these three crazy wackos. It's just like a magnetic field or something. Like, what's the possibility that there's something like that?
It's pretty high because there's a lot of what's called hot rocks in the area.
Okay.
Right? And hot rocks meaning they're high in iron.
Yeah.
And it messes with compasses, messes with GPS. But that all comes back to like frequencies, right?
Yeah.
And like, which goes back to Atlantis and all kinds of stuff. But frequencies are something that there's the guy who had a frequency machine for healing. And this is all U.S. history. He created this machine that healed people with different frequencies. The U.S. government bought the patent rights from him, and then now the machine can no longer be made.
Well, who was this guy?
I'm gonna have to Google.
Oh, okay. I thought you said his name. It's okay.
I didn't say his name.
Okay, sorry. Go on.
So like, frequencies, vibrations, magnetic pole interference. MRI machines use magnetic imagery magnetic resonance imagery to draw pictures of the inside of your body that you can't see.
Right.
So there's something there. Do I totally understand it? Nope. I sure don't. We separate scrap metal using rotating magnets that generate eddy currents because it throws non-ferrous material.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
There's.
Sorry, go on.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say there's a lot of technology that like it would take. That's why I picked Atlantis.
Yeah.
Right. So like there's a lot of technology that culminates and is wrapped up like the quartz, the piezoelectric effect of quartz was discovered in 1880.
Yeah. So
and in 1927, when did we say the World War I was?
1914 to 1918.
That's for the United States, but yeah.
Right. So like only 8 years later, uh, the quartz movement, the first quartz clock was built in 1927, you know?
Yeah.
So like the, when you look at these timelines and you think about how we know things and like when things happen,
Yeah.
there's a point somewhere where there was a large loss of technology and then a large leap of technology.
So, okay, Troy, what are your thoughts about this? Kind of what Dan said. Like, you go by that mountain, Mount Shasta, and you get this, like, feeling. Like, you can't really describe it. Is it just the physical, whatever, the iron in the rocks or the magnetism that's like if I were to tell you that's what happened, would you believe me, Troy?
I don't know if I would believe if you told me that and I wasn't there to physically experience it. I
No,
don't know.
let's say you had like you just experienced it and you called me and I was like, "Oh, it's because of this, like the iron and the magnetism." Would you be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
I guess, the physical feeling, but there's that whole mental part too, where people just, like Dan said earlier, it drives a person to do more, or to try or fall into heavy drug use,
Huh.
and so there's that mental component of it too that doesn't always isn't affected by the iron in your
Right.
blood or your body, right? It's I don't know. It's not just a physical feeling. It is a full encompassing vibe to it.
Okay. So, let's go. Okay. I don't know, so you guys can correct me. Is
Sure.
the Lemurian history, is that an American thing? Like
No.
like North America, United States?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Because like we have
So
Sasquatch
from the
and it's in
right.
Asia also. What do they call it?
Yeti.
Yeti, right? And in
Mhm.
in the US or in North America it's called Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So sorry Dan,
Mhm.
go on.
So this guy, J.C. Brown, British prospector in 1904,
Uh-huh.
visited the U.S. and wrote a book. I got the name of the book here. Hold on. I took notes. Wait, sorry. Let me go back. Before J.C. Brown is the guy that said there's an underground city 11 miles deep, a British prospector. That's 1904.
Okay.
In 1899, Frederick Spencer wrote a book called A Dweller on Two Planets, claimed survivors from a sunken city called Lemuria were living in Mount Shasta. That was in 1899.
Okay.
And he referenced Philip Sclater, who was a zoologist that like named lemurs, I guess. But he introduced the concept of Pangea, I guess, or at least talked about it. And he's a zoologist. Like these aren't like JFK assassination conspiracy theorists. These are people with like world travelers.
Yeah.
Lots of, we'll call it
Education, science.
Yeah, I don't want to say education. I want to say like accredited
Okay.
university education, right? Because you can't just be a zoologist from like sketching in books,
Right.
like
so what's your
like,
point? Your point is that there's some legitimacy to it?
There's something there, right? There's something to it. Do I know what it is? I don't. But I know that like you look up Lemurians and like what I was going to do is Google Lemuria and what countries
so okay,
have lure of it.
While you're googling that, it like I start to think of Pangea. Troy, you know what Pangea is, right?
Oh yeah.
So
it's like a supercontinent.
Do you think that this is part of it, like Pangea, like like okay, here's one way you could explain Pangea. you know, the Earth was one big continent, and then the rest were waters, and then let's say there was a massive worldwide flood, which is referenced in Genesis, and then that flood water burst through the continent, split them apart rapidly, which is opposed to the other theory, which is old Earth, they slowly
tectonics.
drifted away over millions, hundreds of millions of years. But I guess a Pangea with multiple people on different continents, you can't have millions of years and have Lemurians, because over that amount of time that wouldn't make sense. So do you think Lemurians have something to do with that? Maybe the same with Atlantis, Troy? What are you thinking?
I mean, it's very possible. Obviously, we weren't around to know and see what had actually happened during the time. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I do not know.
Dan, what do you think about that theory?
Say that one more time.
Okay, so Pangea, basically, right? Let's say Pangea was one big continent, then the Great Flood happened, and that's when the world split apart. Maybe is that where Lemurians come from? Like, that's why they're on the Pacific Northwest?
I think it's before the Great Flood happened.
Okay.
I think it's as far back as the Tower of Babel.
Wasn't the Tower of Babel after the Great Flood?
I don't know. I gotta see that.
It was.
I gotta figure that
Sorry.
out. I thought it was.
It was, yeah. The Tower of Babel
Okay.
happened after. So you think it's tied to like the disbursement of languages and people across the world in that sense?
Yes. Yeah, because I think that's so I haven't found anything in depth on it yet.
Yeah.
I've been trying to look through stuff, right? But that is when all of Pangea, as it were, split apart.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. When the Tower of Babel was destroyed. Interestingly enough, the zoologist guy, Philip Sclater, in 1864, so he found lemur fossils in Madagascar and in India, but not in Africa.
Not on like the main continent.
Right. Which goes to this lost continent in the Pacific Ocean, renamed, like they called it Mu, just MU, and there's like maps that have it on there.
So okay, I'm trying to connect this and like make it possible. So let's say I change my theory from the Great Flood to the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel, like human civilization was kind of like building this tower to heaven, if you will, like building up technology and like you could even say like a construction technology. Could Atlantis / the Lemurians be during this time? And that's where like technology spiked, kind of going back to what you said, Troy. Like it's been 100 years that we've really seen technology boom, but maybe it's been a few thousand and God stopped it, and then we were up there, right? Even knowing how to split the atom, and then we were dispersed. Is that where we're talking about? Maybe Lemuria, Atlantis is coming from? What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, and it could be during the flood, right? It could be both, right? They could be tied together.
I maybe I'm getting bogged down on the origins of it. Troy, what do you think?
Yeah, it's easy to get bogged down, like you just said. It's like, well, what is this? What is that? Could this have happened?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Well, one of you mentioned the first time we talked about this, you mentioned like they were like bigger people. Like they were like maybe Nephilim or like
that's in the Bible, right? And it talks about Nephilim, because we're talking about construction now and like how they were able to build much bigger things.
Yeah.
Also, there's a guy that claims to be able to move big rocks using frequency.
Frequency. What does that
um,
mean?
so when you know how people can sing and a wine glass shatters, right?
Uh-huh.
They hit a
So
certain frequency. Yeah.
yeah, the slow-mo guys did a 4K 10,000 frame video of a glass with the resonant frequency played at it, and the glass changes shape by up to a half inch until it meets the elasticity of, because glass is fluid, right? It if you measure old windows, they're
Yeah.
thicker at the bottom than they are at the top, right? There's just it's a very thick fluid. It's not very viscous,
Yeah.
meaning it can't flow easy. It takes a long time for it to
Okay.
flow. But old bottles are thicker at the bottom than they were at the top from when they were made. Same with glass panes, right? So they play a frequency at glass, and it causes it to change shape, and it oscillates, right? Until it meets the elasticity of it, and then it fractures and breaks.
Okay. So what are you saying?
There's a guy that talks about different tones and notes and being able to move large pieces of rock by vibrating them at a certain frequency that it's really easy to move them.
And that's what they could do, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Not only were there big people, right? Nephilim, and giants, there's like bones of giants all over the continents, like on every continent.
Right. So, okay, bones. I'm glad you got into this. And I'll move to you, Troy, to see what you have, and then I can move to you, Dan. What evidence, Troy, is there that the Lemurians actually existed?
I don't know. I haven't.
I mean, we
don't
have
know.
the stories, right? We can do internet
Yeah.
searches. We have local.
The stories come from somewhere.
Yeah. Where are they coming from? All right, Troy's stumped, Dan. What evidence do you have?
Do
Convince
I
me.
have?
Sure. Or that you know that is someone has out there.
They're just the let's see. I don't think I have them yet, aside from maps.
Okay,
Right.
maps.
So there's these maps that show this continent
Right.
that existed one time,
Yeah.
right? And there's some different things, like they've used LiDAR to map the bottom of the ocean,
Uh-huh.
and they found this like giant landmass
Right.
that was like larger
Yeah.
at one time.
Yeah.
So and the interesting thing on that is that it connects the United States across the Atlantic,
Sure.
like where like Pangea would mean that like Brazil and Africa touched kind of with the river from what would be it's like if you pushed Brazil and Africa together where the Horn of Africa is,
Yeah.
right? And then you took
Yeah.
the United States and like wrapped them around the top,
Yeah. Like,
and then you squished Antarctica and
Yeah.
Australia in to the other side of like Africa, right? Leaving Russia and all of that over at the top. Like basically the ones at the top stayed at the top, and the ones at the bottom moved out from the bottom, right?
so you're
that would
making
be
you're making a case for Pangea, which I think most people one way or another believe in, right?
right. But what I'm getting at with that is that would support how maybe it's not concrete evidence. right? But it could help you jump the gap in understanding that there is lost continents in different things. But they've found some different artifacts and things that don't quite match any of the known civilizations.
So, okay, so you're saying like a basis level for this to be real is first we have to start with like there was some sort of Pangea or giant continent or something like that where people could exist and the evidence could exist across oceans currently. Okay, and then from there,
because if you have a puzzle, right, and you have a party of 20 people, and you put 4 pieces in everybody's pocket, and then they disperse back to their homes, and you're trying to build this puzzle from the 4 pieces that you have.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you're looking all at these different things. You know. So,
okay. I want to go back to technology because I'm really interested in the idea that, like Troy, you brought this up at the beginning, that why has technology boomed since the last 100 years or so, 80 years? A look, quick fact check: transistor was made in the late 1940s. And another fact check, just so we don't sound like crazy kooks who don't know their stuff. World War I was 1914 to 1918. Anyways, to get that out of the way. Okay, Troy, what if Dan's theory is right? Like there was a boom in technology between Noah and the Tower of Babel, or even pre-Noah, and God said, like, this is like, you're too wicked, you're too evil, like, let's start over. You know, there was a bottleneck, and then it took another 3,000-4,000 years. Do you buy that tech? Not that these things happened, like Tower of Babel or Noah, but that technology bottlenecked and kind of started over.
Yeah, I believe that.
Okay.
I mean, if the knowledge for everything to create everything was destroyed by, say, a flood,
sure,
then some people would have to start all over again developing this new technology, or the existing technology. Yeah, I buy that.
Okay, Dan, what's your confidence level on your theory, regardless of whether it's the flood or Tower of Babel, but that these things existed with high technology in the past? And we basically started over whatever 3,000-4,000 years. What's your confidence level that your theory is right?
I'm probably at like, are we doing out of 100%?
Sure.
Okay. I'm like 80% sure that there was a much higher technology that was able to be utilized than we currently understand. I just don't think it looked like what we think it looks like as far as plastic and things like that go.
Okay, well, here's my thought: is you said there was nuclear war, and for me, like the ability to split the atom is such a, like, it took some of the greatest scientists in the world, right? Like if you ever watched Oppenheimer or read the book, you know that like Hitler wanted to do it, but he didn't want Jews to work on it. So like you had to have like some of the smartest people in the world to do it. And for me, like to be able to split the atom, like that is almost a pinnacle of technology. I don't know. That's where I'm thinking. In a sense, Dan, you sold me a little bit. Like the whole like Tower of Babel starting over, I kind of could build in, like I could kind of believe that. I'm not sure if I'm totally sold though.
Yeah, I understand that, and I'm not sure that I'm 100% sold on it. I know that I want to get a better understanding. Like, I love history and I love going to these different places. So it's no secret that I've been in the Air Force for a long time. I was stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base, and the unit I was part of, the 509th, was the unit that dropped one of the bombs, right? That we're talking about with splitting the atom.
Right.
So I did a fair amount of historical looking into how that process went.
Yeah.
Right. And with the understanding of that, thinking about the way that different metals work and things, piezoelectrics back to 1880, meaning getting electricity from a crystal, that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of common technology. You see that every time you walk into a store and you step on the little mat and the door opens, you got some sensors, but they also use that piezoelectric plates to do that too. So
They're also in lighters, like
yeah,
those,
exactly. So
the lighters that so
that's a
when you
widespread
think about
technology.
that, and here's the crazy thing, do you know how that works?
It's friction. That's my understanding.
Well, an electrical voltage happens because the physical deformation of the natural crystal, right?
Uh-huh.
So we as people we rediscovered it because the Baghdad batteries existed. They were using electrons a long time ago.
So, okay, I've heard us discuss this. It seems like there was a bottleneck, but whether it's the late 19th century or mid 20th century, we kind of rediscovered it. And I guess it goes back to both what you're saying, Dan, with the Dark Ages, and what you're saying, Troy, with why is it recent? Yeah. What happened for 2,000 years plus,
More, yeah.
Like, that stopped us from innovating. Like, was it will that we shouldn't have our technology? Because I mean, in one theory we're saying all this stuff may be different but existed, right? And in another it's like, well, we just kind of grew and we learned as people, and within the last 150 years our technology boomed and blossomed. So I don't know, Troy, what are your thoughts?
I look at it like this with that explosion is, if you're learning, take firearms, for example, right? This ties into our gun oil business, right? If you're learning something and something helps you to understand a process,
right?
And then that process can be applied to 100 other processes, you make a giant leap forward in what you're doing.
You do.
So one spark can start a giant forest fire, right?
Right.
Your mind works the same way. Like, when you understand one concept, you can apply that concept to 100 different areas of your life, right? Like organization, you figure out how to finally get organized, and suddenly you're not trapped in the doom of your house being like hard to find anything,
Yeah.
Like our human condition, once you feel the freedom of something being unlocked for you to understand it, you have a whole new confidence level to go attack all of the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy for me to grasp each of these technological booms, but the Baghdad battery, right? 250 to 650 BC, 250 BC,
right,
to maybe 650 AD. That's a giant span of time that they don't have nailed down for a clay jar that had copper and iron anodes and an asphalt stopper.
Yeah.
Right? So they were electroplating things, right? Which they assume were for religious rituals and mild electric shocks.
Yeah.
But guess what electric shocks do? They make a light. And they had quartz crystals, and they had glass vessels, right? So they could easily have made light bulbs, which there's historians out there that believe that ancient Egyptians had light bulbs. So if you put all of these things into perspective, where you're right, it's not a ceiling fan with a light in it,
right?
But we've perfected a process that's been around for a very long time.
Troy, what are your final thoughts today? What conclusions have we come to?
Well, he was talking about, the crystals, and going back to Lemurians. Lemurians are the part of that legend is that they used crystals in every bit of their technology.
Right.
Like they were known for their crystals. So there's that, there's some reality there too. Yeah, but then you were talking about that pinnacle of technology development, splitting the atom. Well,
Yeah.
there's still at least one step above that. That's fusing the atom, similar to what the sun does, and we haven't been able to efficiently do that as a human race. Yeah, and that supposedly can unlock a tremendous amount more energy than what splitting the atom will do.
Oh.
So like Dan was saying, you have that one little spark, and that could ignite into a giant forest fire. If we can figure out that fusing of the atom, just imagine what other kind of technology development that would happen once we figured that part out.
All right.
And since we're wrapping up,
yeah,
the Dark Ages, when you look it up, it's from 500 to 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't even pin down when relatively recent history occurred.
Fair. Okay. So I think like I'm starting to believe, like I said this before, it's like X-Files. I want to believe. I'm starting to believe. Like I like the theory that one time, several thousand years ago, whenever it was, we had a bigger technologically advanced civilization and it bottlenecked. I like that theory, but as is kind of a tradition for anyone who's still listening to three lunatics ranting, our tradition is like we don't come to conclusions, not by intent, but just because, we're talking about crazy stuff. So we don't really have any conclusion here for you, except, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. That's all I can really think.
And for anybody that might be listening to this, please utilize the comment section.
Yes.
We'll maybe reach out to you, or we'll pull on that historical string,
Yeah, or throw some evidence our way, for or against.
And then check out the Antikythera mechanism.
Okay.
Yeah, mechanism. It's an artifact that was discovered in 1901 from the island of Antikythera, and it dates back roughly 200 to 60 BC, and it's a metal mechanism.
Again, another discovery around the early 20th, late 19th century, which is interesting again. Okay.
Yeah, and it tracked the movements, precisely the movements of the planets, the sun, the moon, and predicted eclipses, and displayed the dates of ancient athletic games like the Olympics.
Oh my. All right. Well, this is where we're three crazy people who don't really know what we're talking about. Troy, what is the craziest thing that you can think about right now? I don't care what it is. Say it. Go.
Oh, the fight between Mount Shasta and Crater Lake.
What?
You're talking. That was the natives in this area have a story that Mount Shasta and Mount
Mazama
basically got in a fight, and it culminated in Mount Mazama erupting, creating Crater Lake, but that story it still exists.
Man,
that's an interesting one.
Man, I wish we were talking for hours, but we're not. That's all the time we have today. Maybe we'll talk about it again. That's all we have. Have a great day. Adios.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.